we just had the podcast of like talking about what NIL could look like. It's just like crazy how it happens ever since. So obviously, we got Devon tickets to the Baylor game. My dad couldn't go, so we watched it on TV, and so we have all the different views of the disappointing Saturday was. It was like the very beginning of the game really set the tone for. It was just very bad, like very. The refs are just like very annoying as usual, like reviewing everything, the targeting call. It was just a mixture of like annoying Iowa State, pissed off, like I can't, like it just dragged on for the whole game. It felt like even when good things happened, it was just annoying things. Like we reviewed every touchdown, we had to make sure everything was good, and it was just a lot of annoying calls. And
those guys would have reviewed the band if they would have let them.
I know.
I mean, and I did my best impression of Miami's offensive coordinator during a couple of those calls. Did you see what he did after the Miami lost this year?
The Dolphins?
Ken Dorsey used to be, I think he was quarterback in the NFL. It was on film. He just absolutely went bananas and started throwing stuff.
That was on the Bills. The Bills just went nuts.
Yeah, so I was trying to contain myself, but it's, I saw a lot of times we'll try to, might as well talk about the officiating since that was a big conversation about it, but I did that on the high school level for 10 years. I made a lot of mistakes, but, the rule we always had was you don't call something you don't see. And that guy didn't see that block below the waist. I mean, that was hit him in the shoulder. He was on the back. He was behind him, so he couldn't see where he hit him. And I think Brent Bloom said it best. That was a young guy trying to prove that he knew the new rule. And that's all he was doing.
For even like the listeners' sake, like we even have to talk about which bad call we're talking about. We're talking about the Anthony Johnson where it was blocking below the waist where we're on defense, and it's just like that was like after so many annoying calls. The crowd was like your seats are since you couldn't go, we got the premium seats. And
let's just be clear. Let's clarify this a little bit. And, I couldn't go. I didn't go because all you guys needed tickets.
That's true.
And so I decided not to go rather than go out and buy more tickets for all you guys. So let's just be clear.
I think it was.
If it was my choice, I would have been there.
It wasn't like a lot of fight. There was like, I guess you can have the tickets to go because it's like mom. It's more of a factor. Mom's in this factor too. It's not just.
Well, we played at Ballard on Friday night, which had a lot to do with it. Yes. It was a long road night, long road trip. But I was planning on going. And then you guys decided they had everybody under the sun was going to go, and I said, "Well, I've got 2 tickets. We've made it work." And Michael was there, so I just bowed out as a good dad should do. So I mean, that's what happened.
What do you think about that, Devin?
It was a great time. Had a great time, Craig. With you out there, we always have a great time.
Without me there, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Whenever he's out there, it was.
Yeah.
What
story of my life?
You were a former football player last year.
Yeah, let's talk about Devon for a second. Yeah, Devon, so let's get out. We're going to talk about the game eventually, but Devon was a long snapper at Grandview. Yep. Just tell him a little bit about your experience with the combine thing or whatever you went to in Phoenix and the long snapping thing, and then me texting you about the Bengals, and then what happened after that.
So I was a long snapper at Grandview, NAIA school in Iowa and Des Moines. We have a lot of great players that couldn't figure it out. We had a receiver from Arkansas. For his true sophomore year, he had 6 catches and a touchdown and 110 yards against Alabama. We have a middle linebacker that was at the University of Iowa. And then we have a safety that's now actually the kick and punt returner at the at the Colts now. And
for the Colts?
For the Colts, okay. Yeah. He made the 52-man roster, signed a contract. So we have a lot of big name guys. And we had 24 scouts from 24 different NFL teams come down, and I got a little exposure from long snapping and got invited down to Texas for Jamie Cole. He's the punter and kicker guy. He does a lot of those for the D1 and NFL guys, and got invited to his camp and his personal ranch.
Heard his kid's pretty good.
Yes, stud quarterback, super freak athlete. So
that's the rumor.
Yeah,
got a lot of exposure there, and had a good time down in Phoenix, snapping with a lot of guys. Iowa State's old kicker last year.
Nevis.
He won the kicking contest with, I think it was a 57-yard field goal. Just absolute nuke. But got snapped against guys from Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado State, California. Just all your D1 your Power 5 guys.
Texas Tech, wasn't he there
Texas
too?
Tech was there. Just a bunch of guys. And then the old snapper for the Dolphins and old snapper for the Vikings was also at the combine. And
So you're around the kicker who made that NCAA record field goal against us that beat us.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you talk to him or
I didn't. No, I was the new guy. I kinda just
trip him or something? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of big name guys. I think quite a few guys made a lot of teams, and if they didn't make the NFL, they for sure made they'll make the XFL next.
So
next spring.
tell us, you're being a little modest here. So tell us how you did time wise. He timed you from snap till.
Yeah, time wise, I was a top three. I was one of the best guys. Time wise, it's just God did not gift me with a 6'2", 245 frame. I'm only 6 foot, 225. But yeah, times were great. Killed it at the camps. It's just. You get a little overlooked when you're not just an absolute unit.
So I tell you, when the Bengals a week ago or 2 weeks ago was having trouble with their long snapper, I texted you and said, they need you. And so then tell us who they signed after that.
They signed one of the best. They signed the number one long snapper in my draft class. That was at the camp. That
was at the same one you were at.
Killed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
was the TCU guy?
No, TCU guy's really good too. I can't remember his name, but he's a big, tall, lanky guy. I'm not sure. I didn't follow everyone. You don't get names. I'd have to look. I'd have to look at the guys up on Instagram and figure out where they all went.
Still a great experience. So
it was awesome. Not many guys get to go snap with all those guys, but it was a really cool experience. I bet you 10 of those guys will definitely make a team someday, and it's awesome. Yeah.
And so, they timed you, and then you had to snap it so when the punter caught it, the laces were up.
Yeah.
Right? And you had the distance wrong at the beginning or something?
Yeah, unfortunately, in college, you snap from 7 yards. In the NFL, they're kind of going to 8 yards for the snaps and for field goals and extra points. So you got to get the laces pointed out, and I couldn't adjust quick enough and just didn't make the cut, where in college you do 7 yards, and a lot of kicks are getting blocked now in or NFL, so they're going 8 yards, so it makes it longer for the defenders to go block the extra points.
Okay. Yeah, so you're at the game with. Did he sit with you guys?
No, he was up with.
I sat with Michael.
Yeah,
Michael and Louie and all his buddies. Yep.
Yeah. So so what was your first takeaway of the game as a former player and?
I feel like they just
as a general feel of the game.
Yep. So going to the game, super confident. After we beat Ohio. I told all my buddies, Iowa State will beat Baylor. I'm feeling super confident. I thought they were overrated. How they played against BYU, really inconsistent. I you know what? We've had 3 solid games going in, feeling confident. I think we can do this. And I think that first drive by Baylor just set the tone for the rest of the day, just with the unsportsmanlike conduct. Or is it? What was that with the receiver coming across the field?
Unnecessary roughness is what they called. Yeah.
That was the
Reader. Yeah, number 4 Reader.
Reader gave him a little push and he went flying like he got shot.
Unbelievable, terrible call. That was 15. And then obviously our targeting call, which is another 15 yards, which is 30 yards of their 70-yard drive. They moved the ball 35 yards on their first drive and scored a touchdown.
It's kind of like the end of the last game where we had the Iowa game where we had 20 yards on the last play.
Exactly, and that just set the tone. Like it blew the sails out. Like any big play. It just felt like we didn't have any energy in the stadium. It kind of just blew our sails out from the get-go.
Yeah. So that all happened. I guess I'm not remembering the game. Those 2 penalties happened on the first drive?
On the same drive.
Wow. I'm trying to block that out.
This is why the feel of the game was so weird for, I think, looking back on the game. Frailer got got ejected. Who's probably Will McDonald's the best player right now on paper. Obviously he's gonna be an NFL stud.
Yeah.
Frailer might be the most long-term NFL player on our roster because he's that good. He's a freak.
19, 20 years old.
He's a freak, and just he was almost not gonna play. So he was out there, and just to be.
You need to get closer to this.
To be ejected out of the first drive, and it's basically a whole game suspension off of a judgment call that's BS. They change the rule every year.
How can you review that?
Yeah,
and come up with them because there was no the thing that I was going crazy about is there was no flag.
No flag.
That came from above.
Yep. Yeah.
And they still screwed it up. The reason that they called it is that he ducked his head.
Yep.
That was the only reason. He doesn't duck his head. It's not a problem. I was trying to explain to your mom. I said they're trying to protect the tackler, and but by protecting the tackler, you're disqualifying him. I agree with what Chris Williams said. He said there should be a in between. There's a 5-yard face mask, a 15-yard face mask. There needs to be an in between for targeting too.
Hitting the punter. If you're
exactly.
5 yards or 15.
Right. So there's got to be something that. If you have something that's like that is not disqualifying a kid for crying out loud. Yeah, that was bad.
It's been a problem to hold for a long time, and it seems like everyone has the consensus is everyone agrees on that there needs to be a change. It just nothing changes.
The rule doesn't bother me. It's the inconsistency of the rule that bothers me. When next drive, Iowa State gets the ball, our running back breaks it out, and their safety comes down. Way worse, in my opinion. And there's nothing flagged. Which
don't even look at it.
Next drive.
Don't even look at it.
I thought it was way worse.
Yeah, I mean, don't even take a. I mean, just common sense would say, just look at it to appease everybody.
Yeah.
And then if it's wrong, but they didn't even look at it. That's that was aggravating. And I thought Campbell was gonna have a stroke right there.
And only
when he pulled his hat off, while he's yelling at the ref. I said, "Oh my God, he's gonna get run out of this thing," because he does a good job of making his point, and then he kind of throws a couple points at the ref a couple times and moves on because, I mean, that's the way he's got to be. I mean, if he loses his mind for 5 minutes, then everybody's gonna lose their mind. I mean, let the fans.
What
lose
made
their
it even
minds.
worse at the game? They keep replaying it at the perfect time, and like if you're gonna call that one, there could have been 10 more targeting calls throughout the whole game.
Yeah, like I was sitting. Obviously, I could speak. I was up and closer usually than I usually am. So I saw Campbell, and it was just like so like the Matrix, like it lined up perfectly. Like the ref,
Matrix.
Campbell's like pointing to the video screen, and then they replayed it exactly when he pointed to it, and the ref wasn't looking, and Campbell just freaks out. Like you can just see it when he looks at it, just like a glimpse of it, and Campbell just freaks out, and it's just like I feel like yes, like that's. Everyone felt that in the stadium, but we didn't recover from that ever. I don't feel like.
Oh, we did pretty. I mean, we still lost by a touchdown.
I know, but I'm saying
we did a pretty good job of
that's how we started the game. It's hard to obviously.
Right. No, I get that.
Yeah, it's just like hard to come.
A lot of adversity from the get go.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, if we would have lost by 2-3 touchdowns, then I'd say we didn't recover. But I think mentally we did a pretty good job of recovering. If that would have happened in the third quarter, fourth quarter. It could have been a lot worse, but we had good ball. Yeah, we had the halftime to kind of recover from that. Did you hear?
Maybe
you didn't hear this, but I forgot to ask Ryan this week, but Ryan Harkla told us one of the hardest parts of his job is to figure out what he's going to ask Matt when he's running off the field. And John Walters goes down to Matt, and you hear somebody scream some profanity, and there's no question. Didn't hear Ryan. Didn't hear. I don't know who was yelling. But they didn't even do the question because they just said, "Oh, I think we're going to skip this one."
Man, yeah, I bet because like they should. Do they really ever get anything out of that, or is it just because they have to have like obviously Ryan Harkla does a great job? Is there any really
somebody's paying
utility of that? Like,
it's like the Zwiffle sideline halftime question or the old Milwaukee come up with a question at halftime thing. I mean, I don't know who's advertising it, but.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's just part of the game too. Like in baseball, you watch a game, they're all mic'd up. It's just like add people and they keep people in the sport and keep them entertained.
Right. I'm saying as a coaching perspective is like you're so mad about and you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like I feel like you probably forget about it every time you're walking. Oh, like, oh yeah, I forgot about to do this. Like,
right. Well, but
you
Matt,
have to switch your flip. Like, okay, be professional. Like that's where like some coaches lose it. It's like, oh, that's your branding. And I think Matt understands like. Okay, I gotta flip it back on to professionalism because some coaches don't understand that, and those ones usually don't last. And thank God we have Campbell, because you could. I like how you could see the passions there. Like people make fun of TJ, like not like make fun of TJ Otelsberger, but like they want him to do that more. But I feel like it's a different sport because basketball coaches get kicked out. Well, how many often do you see head coaches in football get? So kicked out again.
Well, you're really not. I mean, because of the big screen, it's a little different, but you're not showing that guy up. I mean, Chris Williams just interviewed TJ last week. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but he talked about that specifically. He said, he would lose it when he was at South Dakota State, and then he couldn't figure out why his kids weren't able to handle adversity, so he's made a conscious choice that he's not going to react to officials. Just so that his kids can be cool and calm, and I think that worked last year. So but you're right. Basketball is different than football. Football is a violent, extremely. You have to have some emotion when you play football. If you get that wound up during basketball, we've seen players that act that way. Cam Lard, loved him to death, fantastic athlete, but he flexed after every time he did anything.
I'll take that.
I mean, and I liked Cam too. That's not a slam on him, but I think he would have been a much better player if he would have been a little more even keel.
And then the replacement went 2-22.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's so. I mean, so TJ, it's hard. You can't compare basketball and football to that.
Just,
I mean, it's not Bobby. You can't. It's not the days of Bobby Knight where he's choking a kid or throwing stuff across the floor. I mean,
those were the days, huh?
I remember it vividly. I actually met Bobby Knight once. Ran into him at an airport.
You did. You also took a leak by January.
Why do you say that?
Because it's funny. Because like that's like the only thing I remember from like as a little kid from the basketball camp. You paid money from the basketball camp, but I remember you taking a leak by January. That's all
I just went in. I was in the bathroom standing next to him and I started talking to him. Yeah, I used to go hunting up at Humboldt. yeah, he's a good guy. But
so yeah, you paid for that memory.
I didn't pay. Move on.
All right. Have any other thoughts, Devin?
On the game,
we're
just in general.
Are we talking about leaking or are we talking about the game now?
Anything about politics?
Yeah, no. Yeah, so like what do you feel like that? Like just like the start of the game is very important and many things went wrong. Even when things went right, we got reviewed to go back on the 1 yard line to run it back in, and then they reviewed that even. They reviewed the touchdown after the review.
Well, we can get down to like the nitty gritty, like the little stuff, like with the officials, but like I don't think that was like what determined us losing the game. I think like listen to like podcasts and like around Heart Club before the game. All of them said that Baylor's going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, pound it down our throats, and to start the game, Baylor's spread out.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of weird, and they're running and gunning. I think we didn't get out coached. That's not the right word, but I think we got out schemed. Where I feel like everyone, even including all the reporters around Heart Club, they're going to run the ball. Well, they come out 4 wide, slinging the ball. Then they start to develop the run game. Now it's endless opportunities. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. And then I feel like defensively we didn't play with our eyes. Everyone's just coming in. How'd they score their first touchdown? Play action boot. How'd they score their touchdown would that be the south end zone? On the south end zone, Dylan Doyle, middle linebacker, slips out in the flat. Easy. That should never have happened. And then on the flip side, 80-yard bomb on a reverse.
Yeah, that was flag football. I was so mad when that happened. I couldn't believe it.
We weren't playing with our eyes as a defense. We're playing with our eyes, and I feel like we're just playing with our ears pinned back, and we weren't trusting our eyes as a defensive unit as a whole. Yeah, that's 3 touchdowns that shouldn't have happened. And yes, the penalties don't help leading up to that, but like both those were on 4th down, and then that one was just a great call on Baylor. But they knew what was going on. But I feel like
what you said is right. I mean, everybody thought, and Ryan was saying the same thing. Everybody was thinking they were going to run, so we were really crashing the play action.
Oh, yeah.
And Reeder got burned with Doyle, and I think he did on the other one too. And so I mean, he was playing the run versus playing his position,
and it wasn't just him. That should never happen with a flea flicker on a reverse. Our safeties,
they had it forever.
Is everyone
had the ball back there forever? Yeah.
Yep.
In Reeder's defense, this is probably his first Power 5 offense he's played against all year.
And you're talking about getting thrown in the fire. I mean, we're training the
Big 12 champs.
Big 12 champs. They always have a lot of talent. And
that was a diss at Iowa more at Reeder because like Reeder's gonna be he has a talent, like he's gonna be great. Like it's just a speed. I think he's been playing in FCS for full seasons, being thrown in the Big 12 champs.
It's different.
I think he'll get back.
I mean, we played. I mean, we played fine. We're gonna play. I mean, time will tell, but I mean, Baylor has got to be one of the top 2 teams in the conference, right? I mean, so
especially Kansas State.
Crazy assumption. I wouldn't be surprised if we played them again later out in the year.
Yeah, and I like our chances if we do. I mean,
I think a 3-loss Big 12 school can still make.
Yeah,
I think the conference championship.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity, but I mean, West Virginia must not be very good. Obviously we're going to talk about Kansas, but Kansas State taking it to Oklahoma. I mean, Adrian Martinez looks like a different human being altogether.
Even Texas taking Alabama 1 point, had the game. It could have easily
right,
beat Alabama.
Yeah. And then Texas Tech beats Texas, so guess what? Texas is on their way to checking out.
It's kind of crazy.
Texas is going to do Texas things, and when things don't go well and they're not in the hunt for the playoffs,
it's no different. Last
they're
year,
going to be starting counting their NIL money and call it a day.
Iowa State or Texas comes to Iowa State last year, 35-7.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Did you see the Texas Tech game? Their quarterback, they said, was a receiver till he was a senior in high school. Now he's a quarterback, and he's really good.
Just an athlete. Kind of like Kansas' quarterback, just a freak athlete.
But this is the same guy who was at Nebraska, right? Adrian Martinez? Isn't that the guy who was in Nebraska?
Yep.
And he sucked at Nebraska.
he was pretty good this first year, and then everyone really hyped him up because he's at Nebraska, and then it kind of shows like if you're Scott Frost watching that game,
Oh, jeez.
like you just got fired. Obviously, you're probably
He's watching it from a beach. I guarantee.
he's sitting on a pile of money, obviously, but like a beanbag full of money.
I feel bad for him.
Have you heard the Chris
I feel bad
Hassel
for
Frosty the coach man?
No.
Oh my God, it is so funny. Chris Hassel is
He's
very funny dude, but
he's always been.
he would be fun to
fantastic.
have on here. He's a big Hawk fan.
I was a Scott Frost fan. I was hoping he'd turn Nebraska around.
Yeah.
He killed it when he was played against my dad at Iowa State back in 96, 97, won a national championship, and then comes back and coaches for his college team. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, but I said when it happened, I mean, he climbed the ladder so fast, and he was the flavor of the month. I mean, he went from a position coach at UNI to, a couple other things, ended up being at UCF, and, falls into some really good talent in Florida. And I think Nebraska was just waiting for him to give him a reason to hire him. I mean, but that's almost like Clyde Drexler got hired by Houston to coach their basketball team, and that didn't work out either. So,
Well, like looking back on it, does Scott Frost be like, I should have stayed at UCF and could have made a giant there, and then went to the Big 12?
or gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to be. He probably got more of a leash at Nebraska would any place else, but it's still going back to your hometown. And Nebraska still thinks it's 1995 for crying out loud. I mean, and they haven't figured out that it's so funny because I listened to the Baylor podcast last week. The Baylor guys are saying Aranda. The rumor in Baylor is it's a done deal. Aranda's going.
Oh.
I listened to a Kansas podcast this week. All of the Kansas guys are saying that their coach is going. Oh. All the Iowa State guys are freaking out because they think everybody's saying that Campbell's going. So what coaches are not going? Brian Ferentz. So, but they, so it's everybody thinks that gets paranoid at this point, but Aranda's not going anywhere. Campbell's not going anywhere. I mean, you can't honestly say Nebraska is a better job than Iowa State right now. No. I mean, there's no way. Not maybe in the future, but not right now.
No,
it's going to have more money.
They're just terrible luck. I think they had 14. Well, until Oklahoma came in, I think they had 14 games in a row where they lost by one possession or less.
Yeah.
Every single game last year they lost.
I feel like the media just put all the money on like Nebraska is going to flip over because like they were so close last year, but now they're going to do it this year, and then they go to Ireland, lose to Northwestern, and then
who isn't very good.
Who isn't very good. And then, just the wheels fell off. And
Scott Frost definitely put the highlight on himself too. I saw on ESPN last week, interviewer asked Scott Frost, how are you going to adapt to the Big Ten, whatever? And he goes, well, I think the Big Ten needs to adapt to Nebraska. Right. Like that, from the get-go, he put all the pressure on himself.
Yeah, I wish Nebraska was still in the Big 12. I mean, Nebraska and Colorado, I mean, I know I'm old school, but Nebraska needs to be in the Big 12. Colorado needs to be in the Big 12. Texas A&M was never, but I'm thinking these are the old Big 8 teams. Yep. I mean, Nebraska and Colorado are the ones that there's a lot of history with them and us, and it'd just be kind of fun to have them back again.
Yeah, but I remember when they played a couple of years ago. That was really fun, that game in Colorado. Yeah. That was really fun. Yeah. So just I think eventually it'll take a couple of years to realize, this kind of making everything corporate, like let's make it more regional. I think that'll happen like 10 years from now. Like, we want to play the rivalry games. I feel like it's happening in basketball again. Like we played Missouri so many times since we've not played them since they've left the Big 12. We're playing them again this January. That came out today at the end of January, which there'll be 12 people there because Missouri sucks at basketball. But
well, I mean, they're going to end the Bedlam series. I mean,
yeah,
I can't believe people in Oklahoma are happy about that.
And I love how like Gundy was like looking at everyone's like, what am I supposed to say? It's already done. Like,
right? Yeah, it's not his.
What are we doing?
I'm
here?
40. No, I'm 50 or whatever he is.
Yeah,
that's still one of the classic press conferences things ever. That should be somebody's ringtone.
Yeah, right. So what else?
Yeah, that's your way of saying that wasn't funny.
Yep.
Moving on.
Sliding into the next topic. So what do you think, Devin? Did you have anything at the concession stand?
Concession stand.
You have gummy bears?
I got everything. Popcorn, clone cone.
I haven't seen is there clone cones at the football games?
Yeah, and they're bigger. They're huge.
Bigger than ever.
Nobody didn't see Winnie the Pooh. That would be in October. When I saw Winnie the Pooh, the sneaking beer gun.
Yep.
So yeah, we were at the first time we played Baylor remember when we went to the Baylor game when we were little? It was before RG3's year when he tore his ACL, so we actually had a chance against Baylor this year. And this was the game where Osternaud pointed the football to the sky and got flagged. Remember that one was that. That's
We're
a
little
that was, and then we had a clone count. It was like 20 degrees outside, and
colder. 10.
And there
10
was like
degrees.
really drunk Iowa State fans out there. He's like, these guys are strong. Like
A bunch of badasses.
Yeah,
Thought they
it
were
was
so
just-
cool.
they're just like, hey, you betcha.
Hey, your little brother got baptized Iowa State football. He sat in the student section and got puked on.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. So
Luckily, it was just on the sweatshirt and a little bit on his foot. But
yeah, because my Will after the game still had the sweatshirt. He's like, I just put it reverse. I just reversed it. I'm like, just throw it away.
yeah,
Like puke.
yeah. That if I told that story in the podcast about
No.
about Grandma at the Big 8 tournament.
Maybe we'll let her tell it.
No.
We'll let her tell
Your
it.
grandma got puked on twice. Or no, excuse
Yeah.
me, she wasn't puked on. She got beer dumped on her twice at the Big 8 tournament. Yeah, that was a fun day.
It was a fun day.
So we're gonna talk about Kansas.
Sure. So what do you think of Kansas?
So it's like one of those teams where like Kansas has been so bad for so long. I haven't watched a single Kansas football game unless Iowa State plays Kansas in football. Like I have,
Or they playing Texas or something?
yeah,
Or like
the
highlights of
big game,
Texas?
yeah, big game. Like I have no idea, no expectation at Kansas. Kind of a little worried. I've been looking at you on the ESPN. You look at like Iowa State versus Kansas. They had like the poll like at first we're like 85%. So
Yeah,
it
right.
keeps going lower and lower. I think it's like 60-40 right now.
Yeah.
Iowa State only has a 60% chance to beat Kansas. Like it's like
Well, Daniels, their quarterback, is having a really good year. I mean, he's
Killing it.
completing it's 71% of his passes right now. And
Super athletic.
He's their leading rusher,
Yep.
and leading passer. So, but he's only 6 foot tall and $185
Yep.
maybe, so he's not huge.
Nope.
So yeah, this is going to be a big step up in competition for these guys because their schedule has been
nothing.
TNTC, Tennessee, Chattanooga, or some the cartoon character, and then West Virginia, who is not playing very well.
At West Virginia, though, that's a tough. That's a tough road
It's
game.
55 to 42 in overtime
for Kansas.
Yeah, but then Houston is not very good this year.
Nope.
And then Duke, who forgot that it's football season. They forgot it's not basketball season. They think they're good for a little while.
Yeah,
So
what
this is will be by far their best team they've played.
Yep.
And definitely the best defense that they've played. So I listened to the Jayhawk podcast today, and it was funny. I mean, I kind of listen to those just to get bulletin board material, just to see if there's something that'll tick you off. But they were really respectful of Iowa State. Said that we're going to be the best defense that they've played all year, and they sounded like us 7 years ago. You know, Iowa State's winning 6 or 7 games. That's kind of where we want to be, or we want to get to. So they're kind of like, you know, having a lot of respect for us because we have built it up a little bit and we're trying to get to the next level, and they're trying to get to our level right now. But, you know, if we go down there and beat them by a couple touchdowns, we're going to kind of send them back to reality a little bit. But if they beat us, you know, then it's on. Now all of a sudden we think Mangino's back in town,
Yeah.
and they're all of a sudden
Mid-2000s.
right? Yeah, they're back to being a contender. But you know, I haven't watched a ton of them. I just was listening to these guys, and they're pretty high on him. And this Daniels kid, you know, they think is the real deal, but they said that he still hasn't. And you know, I don't know how hard he's been hit, and I can't believe that we're going to have a guy throw it and run it all over us.
No.
I mean, they also said they're having a turnover issue. They fumble the ball a lot.
I mean, it
so-
wasn't that long ago where Texas Tech did that exactly to us last year, where the number 7 player who beat Texas last weekend,
Yeah.
did exactly against us. That's my only worry is it happened against Texas Tech, and hopefully we've learned from that. And I think we have a lot more. Ryan Vance is healthy this year, and I
Yeah.
think that helps us a lot in the linebacker room and readers. He's learning the speed. I think he's gonna be a great linebacker whenever he gets the speed to it, because he's always in the right spot. He just just a step off. And I think,
This is his only year, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, he needs to. He doesn't have much time to figure it out. I mean,
no, I'm just saying I think he'll be a factor down the ride.
I'll tell you what. What about Will McLaughlin again? He's still playing. I mean, 18-year-old Harlan kid. I mean, we're gonna obviously
Crazy.
keep, since we've seen him play in high school. We're gonna keep singing his praises. But he's out making plays still too. I mean, God, he put 20 pounds on that kid.
Watch out.
Yeah, I mean, and Baylor came in, with the two of the best lines in the country supposedly, and we held our own. So it's funny in football. You can't really look at the non-conference too close. I mean, we had the Iowa game, which is always a measuring stick for us. But then when you get into the conference, it takes you a good 2-3 games to figure out who's good and who's not.
Yep.
So we'll learn a lot about everybody this weekend.
Just like even what you just said, like we saw Texas literally like kind of got screwed over. Should have beat Bama, then lose to Texas Tech a couple weeks later. So like things are all out of whack on college football.
The Tariq Milton makes a big play.
Yeah, Kent State was playing with Georgia. Like things are weird. I think the transfer portal things made things more wacky than people think because like USC's already 7th.
Yep.
Already, like they haven't done anything in so long. Another 7th right away. Like how long did it take Iowa State to get to 7th? It took us.
But Kansas isn't even ranked.
Nope.
Yeah,
They're not even ranked yet. I mean, for the
polls have Iowa maybe at 25. Like the prediction polls, they got Iowa at 25, which would just be nuts.
maybe Cooper DeJean because
won the
good
game.
boy.
oh
Tell you
my
what,
goodness, he is good.
yeah, his interception was crazy. I mean, he caught it going the opposite direction, turned around and just weaved his way around. I mean, yeah, he's a good player. I mean, he was a quarterback in high school, so maybe they're gonna start talking about moving him to.
You ever seen his basketball highlights?
Oh yeah, I mean,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's.
It's just too bad he didn't grow up a Cyclone fan.
Yeah, no, he was. It's him and Aaron Graves are both Iowa fans from day one, so that was never a question. But he did. I mean, Cooper did take a visit to Iowa State. I mean, he was pretty complimentary of Campbell back then. But it's like Aiden Hall from Harlan this year. Is a senior that we were recruiting too, but he's grew up a Hawk fan, I think. So he's going there. So
yeah, it's just it was like set up for a perfect day of football, and it's like right away, like refs, like nope, not gonna happen today. Like it just kind of felt like that. Everyone was really mad right away. Like it just lingered for the whole game. It felt like.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that irritated me just because in the college game they've got more officials on the field and they have replay, so getting it right should be fairly easy. At the high school game we were at Friday night. They had a perfect example of how you should officiate. They don't have replay. They have 5 guys. The punter fumbles the snap, and a regular punt turns into a fake punt. So you know what happens on punt. Once the snap goes, 1,001, 1,002, the linemen are all taken off. So sorry about that.
You're right.
So the linemen all take off. Punter throws a pass.
Legal man downfield.
Right. No flag. Nobody throws anything. I'm yelling from the stands. Our coaches are going bananas. Luckily, the line judge on our side just says, just wait a minute, goes out, and they huddle together and talk and then throw the flag in the air. 30 seconds after the play's over, and they got it right. I mean, you look at the film, there are 4 guys that are, I can't believe they didn't throw a flag at the beginning, but I think they were kind of taken off guard. But they took the time and they got it right with no replay. That's the way they should officiate. Like somebody should have come in to that white hat and said, that kid hit him in the shoulder. He didn't hit him, didn't cut him. He hit him in the shoulder. Nope. So that they should have picked up the flag on the block below the waist. The replay on the targeting thing, there's no explaining that. I mean, it's purely from dropping his head. But anyway, so if you just take your time, I think it's pretty easy to get it right. And especially, but that's the thing I was going to compare those 2 plays, a high school game versus a college game. There's more eyes on the field from the officiating crew in the college game than there is in a high school game, and still 22 guys running around. There's the same number of people that you're trying to look at. And you've got more eyes to watch them. So it should be easier to get things right. And it didn't happen. But we got to move on. Campbell moved on, so I think we probably should.
I think
I got one takeaway. I'm most impressed with is we started the game slow, and then to start the second half, oh my God, could we start a worse way? Throw the pick off just Plinko, bounce off about 5 guys, and he picks it. And we have a great defensive stop. And that was awesome. Hold them on 4th down. I think that was great with the adversity, how quick it came. We're down. And then we throw a pick, and we stop him out 4 and out. Like that was, that was pretty awesome.
That's the Professor Haycock. I mean,
every halftime adjustment always perfect.
Yep, always does.
We
probably have a top 5 defensive coordinator in the country at Iowa State.
I think so. Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah. So what do you want to see improve for the Kansas game? It's hard to obviously it's not going to be a cupcake game.
No.
Because we all know that.
The
players
question
would-
is
the
how
player-
many fans are going to show up.
No, I know the players.
Kansas never has fans there.
Yeah.
Never. Well, actually, last week I heard it was filled.
Yeah, and the
stadium was
stadium's
filled.
like Drake Stadium.
It's
Wasn't it
pretty-
2 years ago they got on the radio and they're asking people to come to the game? Do you remember that?
It was last year. They was beating Oklahoma at halftime. They're like, get in the stadium right now.
For free.
And like, it was just like they sent out a mass email on the students like, bring anyone you know, come to the game. And they obviously didn't beat Oklahoma, but it was still close. And they've obviously improved a crap ton since then.
Yep.
And so
I think we got better, like I said, with our eyes on defense. They're going to throw everything at us. This is a huge win for them to start out. This will be their first time ever going 5-0. When's the last time Kansas ever?
Yeah, I don't know.
no, they went like 11-0. It was like 11-0 versus
Gino's year.
11-0 versus
08.
11-0 Kansas versus like 11-0 Missouri for like gonna go to the Big 12 championship game.
Like 2007.
2007.
Okay. I think we got to keep the quarterback in the pocket. Like, we can't let him beat us. Him just doing whatever he's going to do. Like, we got to keep him one-dimensional. So if he's going to be running around, we got to limit that and have him beat us by passing. We got to keep him one-dimensional. We can't let him do whatever we want with us. Where I feel like this week's quarterback's way more athletic than Baylor's quarterback, where he was more of a pocket passer.
Yeah.
Where we got to keep him one-dimensional and keep him inside the pocket. Send him occasional little stunts with the linebackers. Gary Vaughn gets in there so fast. Made a great play last week against Baylor. I think he's going to shred it up this week. I hope it all works out.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously must be able to throw on the run. So hopefully we can get him to make a couple mistakes.
He gets out of the pocket. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So like we were weirdly talking about it being a cupcake game, like it might be like a trap game of whatever. No, it's like we have to show up. Like Kansas, this could be like a Rockness atmosphere for Kansas, obviously
Kansas.
Kansas. So
Not
like
easy.
it's like I think our players will probably Xavier Hutchinson, all these seniors have been around forever, be ever locked and loaded. I think we'll come out guns blazing.
Yeah, I think I don't think we're not gonna be come out, like we're sleepwalking. I mean,
I think our scripted plays next week will be all very great, and I think we'll just like how like when we were in Kansas' position, we always played teams like that. We're like kind of more into our program we are now. Like the scripted plays, they would always score against us.
Right.
It was always 7-0, like right away. So like, all right. So we was like, okay, just keep it interesting. I just want to watch it. I want at halftime. I just don't want it to go to bed. And I want our mom to be like, all right, can we watch HGTV for the 700th time? Like, no, we got to watch the rest of the half. So like, that's where Kansas is at right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like this is a huge game for them, and it's just weird being in the flip position. Like this is like a big game for them that could be a program builder, and it's against Iowa State. And
Right.
So it's nice to be in that position.
So I mean, if it's in the fourth quarter, I mean, I kind of like our chances because we've been in bigger games than that. But did you hear what the New York mayor said today? Did you hear that, Dev? I already told Thomas, but he came out today and he was talking about New York has a brand. New York is a brand. He goes, we're not like Kansas that doesn't have a brand. And somebody said,
Iowa.
when I think of Kansas, I think of barbecue. When I think of New York, I think of murder.
That's pretty good.
It was just ironic that it was about Kansas this week. So, yeah, I hope we're coming out well. I mean, I hope Hunter has a big day, and we need a couple simple drives just to give everybody a little confidence. I tell you what, I think Jairell Brock is playing lights out right now.
Oh,
he looks
yes,
really
he looks
good.
His footwork is
Yeah.
insane.
But he's got to hang. Obviously, he knows he's got to hang on the ball going across the goal line. But everybody was criticizing that call too. But if that's a pass, it's a catch. He has control of the ball and his knees down inbounds. So there's no difference between that and a pass. I said that when I was watching it. And so he's got a hold of the ball. His knees are down. He completed the catch when he fell down. So he's inbounds. There's no controversy to that at all.
I got one controversy question. I think the officials, and I think it was just so crazy of a play that they completely forgot about it. So he fumbles the ball on the 1 yard line, right?
Yeah.
And recovers in the end zone. I thought the rule was you can't advance a fumble. So he fumbles on the
He didn't advance it. The other guy knocked it out of his hand. So the defender created the force.
Gotcha.
It's if you fumble it yourself. So that rule comes from you guys can look it up, but it's a game in the 70s that when I was a teenager, I was watching it.
Okay.
Dave Casper was the tight end for the Raiders in a playoff game. And he fumbles it and keeps fumbling it from like the 7 yard line all the way into the end zone rather than picking it up. He's just kind of fumbling it along and then falls on it. It's a touchdown. So that's where that rule comes from, is that you can't advance a fumble on your own.
Gotcha. So that's why I was confused.
So yeah, he knocked it out, and he was just chasing the ball down. Now, if Brees would have knocked,
Yes.
if, like
Brock.
excuse me, if Jarrell would have fumbled it to himself, I mean, that would have just like Nebraska
Bobble
back
it.
when we played there, and they're Nebraska fumbling the ball by themselves. I
Oh
mean,
that was
the Yakety Sax game. That,
the 8 turnover game where they put the music behind it, and
Yeah.
that was. Yeah, were you at our house during that game? I know Brian Larson was at a game.
that
where
was
it was
absolutely.
we were
bananas.
first in the North, and then I was just like, let's go, like because like the games were over yet, and like we're first in the conference.
Closer to this.
We're first in the conference, so I'm just like, yeah, look, like we're not Rick and Leaves right now. We're partying.
We're gonna grab my dad's coin collection and go down
Yeah.
to Dollar General.
And buy some damn fruit punch.
I still can't believe you guys did that.
Oh,
These guys got into my coin collection from when I was a kid, popped the quarters out and the nickels out, and went down and bought candy when they were little.
not I did it. He was just
I was
right
the
next
one
to him. He was just he
I
did-
was the
Had
one for the ride.
uncirculated quarters. I had buffalo nickels. I had all of this stuff, and I open them up 10 years later and go, "Where are these at?" And then Thomas fesses up to it.
Gone.
yeah. I'm sorry. Well, at least it wasn't Bitcoin or anything. Like that would be worse.
Well, you can't put Bitcoin into a book. I don't think
Yeah, right.
you would have figured out a way to haul my laptop down there and spend the Bitcoin probably.
Yeah, but if we're gonna get to there's another story we could talk about. So like me and Devin were little. Like there's this like Kiss, like the marketing team just killed it because we just
Hershey Kisses.
Hershey's
little chocolates.
Kisses. Like back in 07, they were killing it. Because like we walked in there and it's like, oh, you and your friends go on a cruise? It's like
yeah.
you need another heart, just the other heart to match this one, and you can bring 10 of your friends. And there's like we bought like every bag. We're like looking in the bag. We're just trying to find,
Yep.
trying to cheat, and then
Couldn't find one.
And like your mom was like cleaning the house, and like after a while, I was like, "What are you guys doing?" Because like we've
Bags and bags of chocolates.
gone, and we didn't go on the cruise. Like we were just getting cocky with them. Like, well, let's not invite him. Like we had a list. Like, no, not him. We don't like him. And it's like it was just so funny.
Yeah, like the only cruise available was in the bags of candy in Humboldt, Iowa. Is what you guys thought.
And we
Yeah.
did.
That's good.
That's where we should learn. That's where you should learn. Don't
Don't be
gamble.
gambling. No
Don't
more
gamble.
gambling.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that's our childhood story.
No, we could do a whole podcast
Yeah,
on
we
stories with you two clowns.
Yeah. So
Talking about gambling.
Teener games.
I'm hitting the under for Iowa State this weekend.
What is it?
I got no idea, but I don't think
Let's find out.
I'm saying it's gonna be 52.
52 is the under.
That's my guess.
it's like I'm pitting the under. What's the
I'm-
under?
I got-
I have no
I'm
idea.
just I got a feeling it's gonna be a low scoring game.
I'm betting on whoever.
You think so? I
Yep.
don't know. I think Hunter's going to come out slinging it. Xavier's had really good success against Kansas. Xavier had a great game against Kansas last year. He had a good game against Kansas the year before, and I think Xavier will have confidence. And he's had confidence the entire time he's been at Iowa State,
Right.
but he's been
57.5.
57
That's
and a half.
okay.
That's pretty high. You think Iowa State's gonna score 30 points?
I just love how they use Kansas Stadium of when it was filled. So
of course.
is that an HD even? I think that might be developed from the 2008.
I don't
Yeah, we're
think
still favored by 3. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the Kansas guys are saying, if Kansas can score 32 points, which
there's no way Kansas scored.
they said if we can score 32 points, can we keep Iowa State from scoring more than that? Because they're that worried about their defense. If Kansas scores 32 points,
give them the hat. Give
Yeah,
them the
they're-
Big 12 championship.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
I don't know about that, but I mean, they I can't believe that they would score. I mean,
like-
but we're also probably still thinking of old Kansas too. I mean,
Yeah, like
Kansas is much better.
Like they almost beat Caleb Williams and Oklahoma at home like a year ago with no fans.
But that was old Kansas. Everybody's looking past Kansas then. I mean, now that people are getting ready for them. But they still have only played Duke, a bad Houston team, an average West Virginia team, and some cartoon character name.
And I think
it is.
it's nice for us to play them now when they're really hyped and like
Yeah,
we can
I
be,
do
like,
too.
put a built-in board material. Like we're playing Kansas. Like it's not Kansas of what like 2 years ago even like
Nope.
a couple months ago. Like that's what the transfer portal is going to change things so much. Like you can't even think of that team last year. Like
right.
that position group is totally different. They have
yeah.
they're all gone.
So who else is playing this weekend? I haven't even looked yet.
Yeah,
Iowa's got was
Michigan at home. Michigan at home. Iowa hasn't Kirk Ferentz hasn't lost at Kinnick by over 10, like by 10 or more points than like only once in the last 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And Michigan's like a 10.5 point favorite.
Yeah, Oklahoma plays it.
You picking Iowa?
No.
Oklahoma's at TCU.
I'm hitting the under for the Iowa game also.
K-State's at at home against Texas Tech. They're favored by 8.
Iowa State will cover and the under will hit.
Yeah, that's nothing else too exciting. I got that Alabama-Arkansas game. Man, they got Arkansas as a 18-point dog.
So I want to know this. When they were reviewing stuff on Saturday, did this sentence come out of your mouth? They just need a bigger screen. Just look at the little screen.
No, I didn't say that
didn't say
because
that?
I've said. I mean, I might as well keep saying that over and over again. I
might
mean, why do they put that guy on an iPad? I mean, it doesn't. Just don't even let the white hat be involved in it. Let somebody else decide it, and just tell him what it is because he can't. He's on the field. He's got all these people yelling at him, calling him names, and he's trying to watch it on my phone.
Yep.
I mean.
Yep, there he goes, right there.
Yeah.
That's the take. My dad could it could happen in the game. He could just have a button and just press it.
I'm gonna make a Sound the Sirens shirt that says "Get a bigger screen."
Yeah. Yep, that would make sense to very few people.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah, we appreciate Devin coming on.
Yeah.
It's been great. Get a football perspective because we're not football guys. I mean, you played football. I didn't play football. I mean, I was middle school B team Hall of Famer.
All-State.
I was in West Sioux High School Monday. I'm going back Thursday. Home of Hunter Deckers. A lot of family members there. A lot of Iowa State fans.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
what do you think? They've got Sound the Sirens gear.
Yep.
I sent it to them last year.
So yeah, what's your prediction for score?
Score?
Exactly. Let's see if we can't get it right.
We
Let's
haven't
see
got
if
it
you
right.
can get it right.
I don't think Kansas scores more than 21. I'm giving them 17. They're sort of cheap touchdown. 17.
Cheap touchdown.
And we're going to score 30.
Oh,
32.
boy, you're thinking blowout.
Yeah, 17-32.
Yeah, if we won by 2 touchdowns, I don't care if it's 84-70. I mean, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with this team is how we come out. Just like we can't come as bad as we did last week.
Yeah.
And a lot of it didn't even have to do with what we were doing. It's just like circumstances was bad, and I think we'll create our own good circumstances, and I think we'll get momentum going. And even our players are playing great. Like Jarrell Brock's playing great. Xavier's playing great. Hunter's up and down, but he'll get his footing. The talent's there. The arm talent's there. It
wasn't like he played bad last
No.
week. Look at his stat wise. I know he had
just
a
like
QBR rating was pretty bad, but like our third down rating.
Just like here and there, like the nitpicky stuff, like throw the ball there, throw a ball away there, like the stuff like he can learn. Like it's not like
I hope he tucks and runs a couple more times too. I mean, he's a big, strong kid, and
super athlete.
And he's a great athlete. I mean, against Kansas last year, he had a long touchdown run, and I think he should trust his legs a little more maybe against some of these teams. But
Baylor did a very good job of keeping him.
Oh yeah,
they had a scheme. They schemed us out so well. Their coaches did a very good job last week.
Yeah.
So yeah. Appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you listening. Appreciate Devin coming on. Yeah. So
I know you don't appreciate me, but that's okay.
My dad letting me use his upstairs for his studio
and feeding you every time you come over here.
That's right.
That's right.
Appreciate all Cyclone Nation. I'm thankful
Are you saying a prayer?
Thankful for yeah. That's all. All right. Appreciate you guys listening and
beat the Jayhawks.
Beat the Jayhawks.
Pretend it's basketball season.
Go Cyclones.